Hello and welcome to another day in paradise. Today I want to have a quick chat about interracial repats. We're talking about interracial couples who are planning to move back to the continent because one of the couples is an African continental or an African diasporan planning to move back to Africa, and the other person in that couple is either European, Chinese, or whatever. So I know that there are a lot of people who are excited to move back, especially a lot of interracial repats that I'll probably be calling myself soon. As most of you already know, I myself am in an interracial relationship. So I know that there are going to be people who are excited to go back, but who also understand that there are going to be people over there who may not welcome your partner if your non-African diasporan or non-African continental partner with open arms. Now, I don't want to pick on any of the particular diasporans in particular, because I don't think that would be fair. But I think the B1 movement has more specifically come from the United States of America and foundational Americans of African ancestry. Excuse me. Wasp here. Get out of here. Go on. Shift. Cheers. So, like I said, there's going to be a lot of people are aware that those with the B1 mindset are also going to be moving back, and they are quite militant. They've been militarized by the environment that they've grown up in, because especially with the African Americans, I mean, it's like they have been in a never-ending war for the last 400-500 years against their white counterparts. So it's been very difficult for them, and they've been brought up in this environment where they have this culture of disliking white people. And I will probably say it is, especially in the United States, it's for a good reason. It's possibly for a good reason. You know, you can see what's happening yourself. So I don't even have to explain why it would be happening. If you have to have been living on Mars to not know this. So anyway, you have these B1 repats and these interracial repats, both converging on the same continent. And I think that a lot of interracial repats are quite not scared, but they are aware that the B1s are there. And I think a lot of them have even taken the decision not to even move back, specifically because of those with the B1 mindset being there. But I'm here to tell you this: if you're an interracial repat, you should not worry about those with the B1 mindset. If anything, you should be embracing them, because let's say you have a family and you want to bring that child up in Africa, and you've repatriated with your foreign partner back to Africa. I genuinely believe that, especially in West Africa, that sort of area, that cosmopolitan sort of international feel that you get in West Africa, is an amazing part of the world for a child of mixed race to grow up in, and not only to grow up in, but to thrive. You know, I think a lot of mixed race children feel better once they move to a place like West Africa, for instance. Now, you could say that this is partly because, let's say, if you have a mixed race daughter and she's watching TV in Africa, it's likely she's going to be bombarded with images of beautiful women, and most of these beautiful women are going to look like her. Whether this is a good thing or not, I'm not sure, but it's going to happen. When she goes outside, she's going to see billboards and there are going to be other women who are going to look like her. Once again, this may have a positive, I would say it would have more of a positive effect than a negative effect on them. It will just mentally bring them up in a place where it will strengthen their resolve and their place. They will feel like they are home because they will grow up there in that type of environment. Another thing is, if you bring up your mixed race children inside that environment, it is likely they're going to be drawn, when they are a lot more mature, to the same race. So it's not same race, to those of African ancestry. So it's likely that that child will be drawn towards African men if it's a girl, and African women if it's a boy. So that is much better in my point of view, because once again you are refortifying your African heritage. Once again, you're putting African blood back into your family, because you know how easy it is to white out your family. You can white out your family very easily, just in 2 generations, and that's where you don't want to go. So I think that that's another positive. Strong mindset and a fortified African family lineage. I think for B1s need to see interracial repats as a positive, a definite positive. They need to look at them as a positive. One reason is because they've actually taken on that responsibility of moving their family or just themselves back to the continent. They see the value in the continent that you will also see too. Now I'm talking about all repats, all interracial repats. I know some interracial couples who are completely not good people. I know these, and I know you've seen them as well. I know you've seen them before. Actually, I'm going to do a video about that very shortly. So, not all of them are good, but the ones who are choosing to move back, in general, I'd say 90% of them, they have that right mindset, and I would say that I am B1. A lot of people would argue with that case, because I'm not with a woman of African ancestry, but I would definitely argue that case and say that I am fully focused on furthering the cause of Africans and Africa in general. So just having that, you shouldn't rubbish somebody because they're in an interracial relationship when they want to give something back to your people, to our people. So that's one thing. Another thing is B1s and African Americans in general don't tend to have the best. Africans don't tend to see them in the best light. They tend to believe what they see in the media about African Americans, which is really, 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 really sad. So, B1s, who tend to be quite militant, quite vocal, they don't look at them in a positive light. And if you're going over there with this B1 mindset and this absolute, I am not going to communicate with any other person other than African natives, then you are putting yourself in a very difficult situation. Simply because the world is a different place. You could have done that a couple of 100 years ago, but not now. Everyone is sort of mixed with everybody now, especially in the more cosmopolitan places, the cosmopolitan cities like Accra and Lagos. So yeah, that's another thing you need to consider if you B1 repat. Now, in general, for both interracial repats and B1 repats, the quality of the people around you will improve drastically. It will improve a lot. But for interracial repats, you need to remember this: 95% of the locals will not disapprove of your relationship because they seem to look at interracial relationships differently than the differently than the B1s, and differently than a lot of the wider diasporans. So you don't have to worry about bumping into somebody who is going to be racist. It could happen, but it's likely. You're not going to get that. Anti-white racism in Africa, I would say, I'm going to say this, and I'm not even sure whether I should say this, but I think it's drastically low. You know, you're not going to have a problem with racism if you're white, if you go into Western Africa. If anything, I would say that having a Westerner or anyone of any other race come to move with you to Africa, it's going to benefit you more. It's going to probably benefit you more, and it's because it's seen as, amongst locals, it's seen as a bit of kudos, strangely enough. I also believe that it will open doors for you with other non-African expats who are living in that said country, in that said African country. So that's pretty much it. You have to remember that you're going to get a whole multitude of different cultures and nationalities, all moving back to the continent. This is a beautiful thing, I think. I think this is an opportunity for a lot of people to learn from other people, and that's what you should see it as, you know. And plus, you know, even if you are B1, you need to see the fact that even if you're B1 and you are wholly believing in the African cause, it is likely that those interracial repats are going to have closer ties to you culturally than the natives that you're both going to be moving to, whose country you're both going to be moving into. You can benefit each other, and that's the way I think it should be. But anyway, I'd like to thank you for listening. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and please click the bell notification. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this weather, and I hope you do too. Ta-ra a bit.